Which teams are going to win their respective divisions in a stacked, packed, and loaded AFC? We'll break it down.
You are Locked On NFL, your daily NFL podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
For making us your first listen, and be sure to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast by giving us a follow, and a 5-star review would be awesome as well, so more NFL fans can find us all across the globe. And Tony, the regular season less than a month away, the AFC certainly considered the best division or best conference, that we've seen in quite some time, with the Aaron Rodgers moving, Lamar Jackson is healthy. Obviously, we know about Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Sean Payton joining the Denver Broncos. There's been a lot of moving parts this offseason. And so let's dive into these divisions a bit, starting with the AFC West, because the Kansas City Chiefs have been dominant. They own the AFC West, 7 straight division titles. Do you think they make it 8 straight?
Yes. I can't
Yes.
say it any quicker, any faster, or any more definitive than that. I do believe the Chiefs make it. What is it? 8 straight now? It would be 8 straight.
It would be 8 straight.
I don't think that there's anybody that can really, really challenge them. I think that there's too much. There's too much going on in Oakland. I mean, not Oakland, Las Vegas. I'm really trying to figure out what exactly it is they're trying to do, because I think they're getting worse personnel-wise. Denver, I don't think Sean Payton, no matter how many times he has press conferences blaming other people, trying to make Russell Wilson feel good, from what I've seen so far, that's not going to change very much. And Russell Wilson is not – I don't think he's ever going to be the guy that we saw in Seattle. So, and with the Chargers, personnel-wise, I think they line up with anybody. The problem is I don't think their coaching staff does. I cannot see Andy Reid giving up any ground right now in the AFC West.
I think you're right. I don't really know how you would bet against Kansas City. They've owned that division. And looking at it, I guess the argument you could make is for the Chargers. Like, I'm just looking at these teams. I don't think you can make a real argument for the Raiders, even though maybe they're a little better than people expect. Even if the Broncos take a huge step forward and win 10 games, I don't have them beating the Chiefs and upending the Chiefs in this division. So really the only team to me that poses a realistic threat is the Los Angeles Chargers. They had Quentin Johnston, out of TCU in the draft. Obviously they have weapons around Herbert. They always seem to come up short or not deliver. And you have questions about that head coach, like you said. I don't have really any questions about the Chiefs. I've seen them. I know what they can do. Now, the only question, and it is a big question, because defensively, yeah, they have some young corners in the secondary and young safeties, and they feel pretty good about their defense. There's one man that makes that thing go.
Yep.
And Chris Jones is not there.
Mm-hmm.
So if I wanted to play devil's advocate, or the path to it, it would be Chris Jones misses part of the season or shows up and is on a snap count early. Kadarius Toney gets dinged up. He's dinged up right now, but doesn't play most of the year. He was really a factor down the stretch for Mahomes and the Chiefs. And Travis Kelce takes a slight step back because he's been so dominant. Like, I guess I could see the path for a couple of those things to happen. But for everything that needs to happen for the Chiefs to just be an 8, 9, 10 win team, let's say, and then for the Chargers to stay healthy and take another step forward to be 11, 12 win team to win the division, I just think it's too many ifs, ands, and buts. And I'm not betting on that when you're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs.
No, it would definitely be something that would be not characteristic for an Andy Reid team, is to have all of those things. Could they get to the point where they just go, we're a little bit bored with the regular season, and what we want is just to get into the playoffs? Could we have one of those seasons, hey, that they start playing just to get in, because once they realize they can get in, they could just kind of turn it around. And if they happen to do that at the same time, the Chiefs have like this lights out season, then could they lose the division in that scenario? Yeah, but the likelihood of that happening, to me, like you said, it's too many ifs, it's too many buts, it's too many and ors. And I just don't think the team that's been the model of consistency for the last half a dozen years is just going to all of a sudden wake up and not do that this year.
Totally agree. And the more I look at this division, I think it is the second worst division in the AFC. I think the AFC North and AFC East are better. The South, you know how I feel. We'll get to the South in just a second about your Jags and the rest of those teams in that division. But to me, the AFC West, they're third, which is more a testament to what's behind the Chiefs and not the Chiefs, of course, the defending Super Bowl champs. I think they should be the favorites again this year in this conference, because if you're going to dethrone them or beat them, you got to dethrone them. And until you do that, until you prove it, you know, I think that they should be the favorites. So, yeah, I think it's close when you look at a lot of these divisions, but this one is the easiest for me to pick out. I think even easier than, and I know your Jags are favored in the South, I think that might be even a little tougher than this, just because the Chiefs are, to me, head and shoulders above everybody else. It's not a testament to your Jags, by the way. It has more to do with Kansas City.
You gotcha.
Up next, let's get to some of these other divisions. And, well, I'll leave it up to Tony where we go next. We mentioned his AFC South. Maybe we could
go to the South, because it's going to be quick. It's going to be fast.
Oh, it's going to be quick. Hey, maybe we'll do South and then North, and then we'll close it with the East. Leave people on their heels and toes wondering about, hey, Aaron Rodgers, will he get it done?
Yeah.
We'll get into the rest of the AFC conference coming up next. Today's show is brought to you by Nutrafol. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement, clinically shown to improve your hair growth, visible thickness, and visible scalp coverage. The hair growth supplements use physician-formulated, natural, science-backed ingredients. Their drug-free, patented technology provides consistent, reliable results without compromising your sexual health. Go to Nutrafol.com/men to take their hair health wellness quiz, identify causes of your thinning hair, and Nutrafol will give you a personalized plan for better hair health through whole body wellness. Take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. For a limited time, Nutrafol is giving our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com/men and enter promo code LOCKEDONNFL. That's Nutrafol.com/men and enter promo code LOCKEDONNFL. Find out why over 4,000 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol by going to Nutrafol.com/men and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL. That's Nutrafol.com/men, promo code LOCKEDONNFL.
Segment 2, running it down here on Locked On NFL on a Wednesday. James Rapien is leading us, and I'm sitting here riding shotgun. We're talking about these divisions, and it's only rightfully so that we get to the AFC South at the top of segment 2, because I represent the AFC South by hosting the Locked On Jaguars podcast, and the Locked On Jaguars podcast is here to let you know that we are going to win the AFC South. And I don't think there's too many people that are disagreeing with the fact that the Jags should be the favorite. There is an argument to be made for Tennessee, because I don't think that they're just going to disappear and go anywhere. And they had a backup offensive line and a backup quarterback in the final game of the year, and they lost to the Jaguars with 2 minutes to go on a controversial fumble. So I know the Titan fans will say that we're not done and we're not gone yet. But with those other two teams having new quarterbacks, it's a 2-team race, and I think the Jaguars are the better team.
I agree. Best quarterback in the division, best offensive mind in the division at head coach. I don't even know if I want to say best head coach, because Mike Vrabel is a damn good head coach. So, but outside of him, that said, I think it's interesting because it's yin and yang. When it comes to the Titans, I think their defense is going to be really good. And when it comes to the Jags, I think their offense is going to be really, really good. With Calvin Ridley, obviously they bring back Evan Ingram. I like Tank Bigsby. as a bigger back to help with Travis Etienne and give them maybe a short yardage option, a between the tackles option. You can get Etienne in space. Obviously, I like Trevor Lawrence a lot. I think that offense is going to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you is, how confident are you in the Jags defense, in their pass rush? I know they were looking at Jadeveon Clowney potentially, because that's really the only question. Offensively, I don't have many questions. I think they're going to be really, really good.
One thing they've done is they haven't hedged their bets. The Jaguars have said this is who we drafted. These are our coaches. We're going to develop our own guys. And I think that they believe they can get pass rush with guys being more scheme disciplined and understanding exactly what they're supposed to do, and those numbers will come. So I really, really do like their approach, even though I've lamented that approach at sometimes, because I'm thinking like, you're close. Go ahead now, press it. Don't sit there and wait. But it's easy for us to say that when we don't know what's going on in the building. And then you go to training camp, and some of these guys started to pop in training camp that are second-year players. And then you look at the first preseason game, and they were able to actually carry that over onto the football field. So it means that people behind the scenes are doing their job. They're drafting and they're developing these players, and they're standing on the table for them instead of saying, let's go get somebody else. How about all the guys that we've invested in, and let's put those guys out there. So there's going to be a little bit of sort of an introduction to some players this year with the Jaguars. I think Andre Cisco is going to have a huge year. I think Trayvon Walker is going to remind people of why he was the first overall pick. So yeah,
if those happen, if those happen, then I don't have questions. Right? If that happens, if Cisco emerges, and obviously Trayvon Walker shows he's the number one pick for a reason, and obviously they took him ahead of Aiden Hutchinson, and they went in different. Production-wise, Hutchinson had a better
numbers-wise,
as a rookie.
And
so does that change this year? Because if it does, then I don't really have many questions about the Jags, and I think they're one of the better teams in this conference, in a stacked conference, and that's why I'm rolling with them. I think Vrabel is a great head coach. I like their defense. I also wonder, poor offensive line, protecting Ryan Tannehill, who doesn't go off script much. DeAndre Hopkins, what does he have left? I think he's got something left, but how much? Can you really bank on Derrick Henry? It's just a lot there. And even the guy they drafted, Tajay Spears, I like him a lot, but he's had his health concerns as well. So we will see. If I had to rank that division, I would say Jags, Titans, Colts, Texans in that order. Even though D'Amico Ryans, you never know. Maybe he'll be able to pull a rabbit out of a hat there. Sounds like you're going with the Jags as well. So first two division champs, Chiefs, Jags. That's exactly what happened last year. Let's see if we have anything different by going to the AFC North now. The Bengals have won the division 2 straight years. No team since the AFC North was founded in the early 2000s. I think it was 2002 was the first year, has won the division title 3 straight years. So it has been a tough division. I think this is the NFL's best division. I don't see a weak link. If Deshaun Watson is even a competent quarterback this year, I think all 4 teams could win 8+ games again and be in the mix for the playoffs. Where are you at, Tony, on this with the Bengals, Ravens, Browns, Steelers in the North?
I'm going to go with the Bengals, and I'm going to do it by default. And the reason why is because even what you just said is true. And I know the floor of this division is like a fringe wild card team. I'm serious. It doesn't get too much worse than that when you think of who the 4th best team is. So, but I'm going with the Bengals because I'll tell you this. To me, they have the best quarterback. They have the best weapons with Chase as well as T. Higgins. And sometimes that's enough to carry you. And Coach Amarulo is really good at dialing things up with Hendrickson and the rest of those guys. And I know that they lost Jesse Bates, but that's why they drafted Dax Hill. He was a 5-star recruit. That's the guy that they got to replace him, and I think they're going to be able to do a good job with that. So I'm going to go with the Bengals. I'm telling you, the Pittsburgh Steelers are dangerous, and Baltimore is always going to be Baltimore. And like you said, Cleveland, when you look at their roster, they're loaded from top to bottom. So very good division, but I'm going to go with Cincinnati because that's who I feel most comfortable with.
I think that this is a really tough one, and it's a tough one because part of me looks at the history of the division and says, all right, someone else is going to emerge. I also look at the division and I say, you know what? It's a black and blue division. It's been that way for a long time. And yeah, Ben Roethlisberger has been the best quarterback in this division for the past 2 decades. Like if you just look at it, who's been there? Yeah, obviously Carson Palmer was really good, Lamar Jackson, but Ben's above those guys. I don't know if they've had a Joe Burrow. And there's questions with Lamar, obviously questions with Deshaun Watson. Kenny Pickett is the biggest question mark in Pittsburgh. I think the roster is really, really good. And so all of these edges come back to, all right, well, if you have Joe Burrow and you have Jamar Chase, and then on the other side, you're right, a defense that has clearly stepped up. I mean, they stepped up against the Ravens in January. The Hubbard yard dash, as they call it here in Cincinnati, or fumble in the jungle, whatever you want to say. But Sam Hubbard's huge play to beat the Ravens. I think that this Bengals team is the most talented team in this division and will win it, but it's very close. The Joe Burrow calf strain, he's got to get back to 100%. It's a tough start to the year. They got to go to Cleveland and then play Baltimore the first 2 weeks. That's rough because you have no tape on Jim Schwartz, the defensive coordinator of the Browns. It's a tough start. And then you welcome in the Ravens with their new look offense. So we'll know about this team early. I do lean Bengals, but it's close. Like if you told me the Ravens won the division, wouldn't be shocked. If you told me the Browns won, I'd be a little shocked, but not entirely. And I wouldn't be shocked if the Steelers won it because I believe in Mike Tomlin and his culture. And if Kenny Pickett takes a little step forward, well, then there's no true weakness on that team because they've upgraded the trenches there, the offensive line play there. So we'll see. But so far, we're picking chalk from last year. Mm-hmm. We know that isn't going to be the case. It is not going to be the case. And I think there's going to be a surprise, at least on my end, coming your way next when we get to the AFC East. All right, Tone, let's get to the AFC East and go ahead. I'll give you the floor here. Go ahead. Who do you have winning this division?
Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets will win the AFC East. There you go. And so we break it now because that's not who won it last year, right? So this is the first team that we're going to choose. I think they're going to do it, man. I just there's something about I always kind of watch out for the all-star team approach because they just signed Dalvin Cook also. But the thing about it is these guys have really, really embraced Aaron, which says a lot about how they felt about their quarterback last year, who by the way, he played really well in the first preseason game, Zach Wilson. But I do believe this is about a rejuvenated Aaron Rodgers, guys that have bought in. He came in. It almost feels like the Brady situation down in Tampa where everybody's all in with it. They've ingratiated him into the team. He's accepted it. He looks like he's having a good time. I actually think the Jets are going to make a lot of noise this year.
Whew. See, here's the problem. When I set you up and say, Tony, you go ahead, is you read my notes. You clearly read my notes. You must have flown up to Cincinnati from Jacksonville.
Yeah, of course.
Came into my office, stole my notes, and none of the cameras picked you up. None of the security system. Man, you're just elusive. Tony Wiggins, he's slippery. Because I look at this Jets team. They added Dalvin Cook. I like Garrett Wilson a lot. I look at the Buffalo Bills, and yes, you could sell me on Dalton Kincaid. I think Stephon Diggs unhappy. Josh Allen, could they take a step back? Maybe, and here's why. Because Aaron Rodgers is clearly motivated to do what Brady did in Tampa Bay with the Jets. That's the part of this that matters. Motivated to do whatever it takes to win. That was not the case in his final years in Green Bay. And for a variety of reasons, fine. He's willing to do it now. He takes that cut. They go get another running back in Dalvin Cook. Cook and Hall, that's a dominant one too. And let's be honest here. By the end of the year, it will be Hall and Cook in that order, in that backfield, which is great. I really like what they've done offensively, but their defense. You have Quinnen Williams, Sauce Gardner. You have playmakers and difference makers. Robert Salah is he's a really good defensive mind. And so I think he's going to enjoy this group and them coming together after another year, after not having to deal with, and they shouldn't have to deal with, an offense that can't move the ball up and down the field. Mm-hmm. I like the Jets too. And I hate it. I hate that I like them because this has got sucker written on my forehead. I think they should be really good. I'm buying the Aaron Rodgers rejuvenation, and I think he's really good this year. It might only be 1 year. This might be Brett Favre with the Vikings, where he's good for 1 year and then next year it's not. But I think he's going to be really good this year.
I'm this close to saying that this is the best division in football. That close. And the only difference is because I don't really trust Matt Jones in New England, and I don't trust Mike McDaniel in Miami. Other than that, those are the two reasons why those are the only reasons I would put the AFC North. You know, AFC North they have two coaches that have won a couple of championships. Now, I know Belichick has won a ton by himself. The thing is though, this division is very, very good, and it's going to be very, very competitive. And New England is going to be a hard out for everybody, and I think they're the fourth best team. And they might be a team that's a wild card team, depending on how things go. So, yeah, man, this is going to be a lot of fun watching. This is the reason why I'm going to invest in some devices so that when I'm in the press box here in Jacksonville, I can sneak a peek at these other games, because those AFC North games and those AFC East games are going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, I think so. I think, real quick, let's rank those 8 teams. Let's rank them. If I had to rank them, I would say Bengals, Ravens, Jets, Bills. So it's 2 apiece right now. Steelers, Dolphins, Patriots, Browns. Culture wins out. So it's really close between those divisions. If I had to rank them from the 8, that would be how I would do it. How would you do it?
I would go Bengals, Jets, Ravens, Bills.
Oh, okay.
Bengals,
so
Jets.
You split the 2. Okay.
Yeah, Bengals, Jets, Ravens, Bills. I'd probably right after that go Dolphins, Steelers, and I'll do the same thing you did. I'll go Patriots, and then with the Browns at the bottom. They have a lot to prove.
Just a lot to prove. Yeah, they have the talent, no doubt. I mean,
I don't even know if Stefanski can coach, to be honest.
If you took the Browns roster and just put it in New England, I would be pretty bullish on them. You know? No,
they'd be favored to win the East.
I think that I'd still question Deshaun, but yes, to your point, they would be thought of much, much different.
I wouldn't question him with O'Brien because I already saw it.
That's true. I forgot. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. The history there, that makes sense. See?
Yeah. See, we always come to these conclusions like this, man. It's going to be fun to watch, but I'm sure everybody's going to make sure that they keep us. They're going to write these predictions down, and they're going to hold us to the fire every time something goes right or goes wrong. Don't go wrong with the Locked On NFL podcast, because you can check it out and make it your next watch and your next listen every single day, not just on Wednesdays when we're here, but Monday through Friday. And the guys will definitely deliver the same type of great coverage. All right, we got some more stuff that we got to tend to, more training camp today, and James and I will have more for you next week on next editions of Locked On NFL. We appreciate you, and until then, take care.